Welcome to the S.J. Childs Show, where a little bit of knowledge can turn fear into understanding. Enjoy the show. Thank you so much for joining the S.J. Childs Show. I'm so grateful for all my listeners. If you want to be a guest, get a shout out, or have a topic idea, please email me at sjchildshow@gmail.com. Today's shout-outs are to Diane Hudson at Advanced Behavior Change, Scott Herman with Spectrum Sailing, Noreen Russell of Russell Coaching for Students, and Jeffrey Snyder, Going the Distance. Please check out all of these special shout-outs, give them your support, and again, thank you so much for listening. Enjoy the show. Good morning and afternoon or evening, whatever time you're listening to this. I just jump right in with my, what time it is on my end of the world sometimes. So thank you for joining the SJ Child Show today. I'm so excited to finally have the opportunity to sit down with Rachel Barcellona and just get a little bit more intimate about her. And we've been able to meet, just through social media and on another event, but I didn't get a chance to talk to her and actually sit in the screen, right? Sit in the screen with her and get to know her more. So Rachel, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, it's really a pleasure to have you here, and it's going to be really exciting to just kind of get to know you more and learn about all of the things you're doing. Let me tell you, listeners, you are going to love this episode. It's going to bring you inspiration for those parents who have young children on the spectrum, hope and happiness and success and everything you can imagine in the best fairy tale dream looking thing possible. So, Rachel, thank you so much. Tell us a little bit about yourself today, and then we'll go back to the beginning and talk about, some more of that stuff.
Well, today I'm a very, very busy person. I love traveling. I just love to inspire people. And I recently moved to Brooklyn, New York, which has been a dream of mine for a very long time, ever since I was 16. I was still in high school. I was in the Thespian Honor Society. I love theater. And right now I am in a theater troupe for neurodiverse actors.
Oh, and tell us where you're going to school, because that's also incredible.
Yes, I'm going to school at Juilliard. I just finished up all my classes yesterday, actually.
Wow. Congratulations.
And I'm thinking about auditioning and applying for another program in the fall.
Oh, I wish you all the best of luck with that. That's fantastic.
It's going to be hard. It was hard to get in the first time. I've been trying for the better part of, I can't remember. It was many years because I started when I first started going to college when I was back in Florida, and I got rejected many, many times. So it was a wild ride.
Yeah. Well, good for you for sticking it out and really giving it the commitment, to follow through. So that's fantastic. Tell us a little bit about the kind of the beginning where it started for you as a child and how much it's, grown from there.
Well, it has grown a lot, and I just wait. What was the question? I'm sorry.
No.
I got a call from California.
Oh.
And I lost.
Miss Danny. No, just joking. No, yeah, we can. I'll cut to the question and answer, so don't even worry about that in any way. That's the great thing about video and editing, right? You can just be like, boop, 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 move things ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how old were you when you were diagnosed, and what, or maybe when you even discovered for yourself that you were autistic?
Okay, well, I was diagnosed when I was 3 years old, and everyone says that I'm a bit of a rarity in that respect because a lot of girls don't get diagnosed until they're much older. But my mom was a nurse, and she had a big hand in getting me diagnosed early, so I thank her for that. But I think another part in my early diagnosis was the fact that I was non speaking up until the age of 5. So everybody could tell that there was something not quite right with me. I would just basically, I wasn't talking, I would not play with the other kids. So it was obvious that I needed to have an early intervention. So I don't know why, as a girl, I was showing more. So, but I like to talk about it. And
That's
and
great.
I like to say that everyone's not the same. We all have something beautiful about
Yeah.
us.
Oh, isn't that the truth? And, I didn't get mine until I was 45. So, how
Yeah.
did I go throughout my whole life not knowing, right? And it's such a different perspective to see. Now I can kind of go back and look at times in my life where my sensory needs were very well not being managed. And, I could have received so much more support, but it's so true how easily females have apparently been able to mask through that early years and really kind of put on the act around others and really act like adults and act like little adult humans when they're younger. And I think that that's kind of an interesting sign that maybe we could pay more focus to in the future for girls. What do you think about that? What are some signs that you think could have been, or maybe for girls that could be looked at, rather than, because I hate like drama queen and, oh, she likes dolls, but my daughter has 30 of them. Okay. There's a there's a point where you like dolls and you're a collector of things, right?
Yeah, and I never really got the adult human thing because I feel like I'm a mixture of both. Like, I grew up around adults, I'm an only child. Everyone said I'm really mature for my age, but at the same time, even right now, everyone tells me, "Oh, you need to grow up. You're 26 years old." Like I'm a big kid in real life. I like cartoons. I love collecting my stuffed animals.
Yeah.
So I've never really been the adult human who felt the need to grow up. I just think that you need to be childlike and
Oh,
always have that little kid spirit in you because the life's too short to grow up.
isn't
And
that
I
true?
don't know. I don't know what happened with me.
Oh, you turned out perfectly. That's what happened is that, now you can live this life and travel and do the things, but it's still okay that you watch whatever you want and you collect all of the things you want. And I love that we're normalizing individual humanism, right? Like we can all just be humans and enjoy our own interests and our own ideas. And all we need is for people around us to just say, yeah, I support that. I accept that. Not to question, oh, that doesn't look right. That seems off. That's, like who is anyone to judge what anything is? Everyone is so diverse and different. I wish that they would embrace that.
Definitely. Like, I was always going to social skills groups as a kid, and that was one thing I noticed about the gender divide. Like, girls were always expected to grow up, but boys, they can watch their cartoons and even into adulthood. And I see this in my drama troupe all the time. Like, you have boys well into their 30s watching Disney and they don't care, but the girls have to grow up for some reason.
Mm.
And that's something I admire about autistic boys. They have their interests that might be childlike and they don't care what anyone says. And I think that autistic girls can learn from that.
I love that you said that. I've always said, about my son, he's, if anyone could walk through the world with his sense of not, and not caring in a mean way, but really just not being aware or cognizant of what others think of him and not letting those opinions or those ideas of others ever affect him. Not only that, but what would it be like to not judge yourself and not judge others? Like, I see that in him. I see this innocence and this beauty that, like, how could the rest of the world learn from that? I love that you said that. Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. I think that there's so much about our community that the whole world can learn from. And that's a lot that I want to talk about, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us about kind of the supports you got throughout your school experiences.
Well, I must say, like, one of the things that I want to talk about is that the support I got in school, it's changed so much. And it makes me feel really happy, but I think, wow, why did I not have that when I was a kid? For example, I mean, I know that my school was trying their hardest, but I think that they could have done better. I know that I would go, for example, I moved schools a lot.
Mhm.
So when I went to a public elementary school, I went to my little autism therapy groups right in front of the whole class.
Mm,
So that kind of just shows everybody that you're different, and then
yeah.
they talk about you behind
Yeah.
your back. But it was fun. I enjoyed it. I benefited a lot from occupational therapy, physical, and musical as well. I would listen to opera tapes for hours,
Mm.
and I know my family would help me with that a lot. They had all these CDs, and I'd listen to them. And I just think without my family's help as well, I wouldn't have been where I am today.
I love that because families are such an important part. I mean, that's really the first step in everyone's journey, typical neurodiverse, anything is that parent piece and having that connection, whether your parent is a guardian or a biological parent, having that connection with someone so early on that just wants the best for you and wants the best for raising that child. That's the kind of parent that you want to go into parenting trying to be. And if you're not, then take a little note right now that you want to come back to this and try to do that more often. Really learn how to connect with your children. How did your family learn how to communicate and connect with you?
Well, that is a long thing. I could write a book about that. But well, I would say my mom, being a nurse, she read a lot of books about autism, the autistic trial, which are probably outdated now, but she did what she could as she worked with babies. She started out as a neonatal nurse. And before my diagnosis, yes, even when I was a baby, I would go to the hospital where she worked and I would observe. She'd always take me to work and that's how we would connect.
Mm,
I always enjoy that. Those are my special
I
memories. And
love
I do
that.
the same with my dad too. I like hanging out with him. Food is always a special memory for me because he's Italian. And
Oh,
say I'd say my grandma and grandpa. Now I have a special memory with my grandpa because with music, he's the least musical. Well, he died, but when I was a kid, he's the least musical person in the world because he was a hockey player and he went pro and and then he turned into a businessman. But he had these CDs by this conductor called Pierre Monteux,
hmm.
a Frenchman, and he thought I would love listening to them. And the CD was of the opera Carmen. I love that
Oh,
opera.
yes.
So I listened to those opera tapes for hours on end, and if it wasn't for the conductor and his operas, I would probably be talking through an iPad right now. I wouldn't be here doing
Wow.
this interview. So I'm very thankful
Oh
for
my
my
gosh.
grandparents.
Rachel, that's amazing. I got chills. I literally just got chills. That's so incredible. And thank you to
But
Grandpa.
it
We missed
It
you.
also shows why music is very important for the mind and for autism healing and just for our well-being. It's amazing what music can do for our brains.
Absolutely. When I was pregnant with both my kids, I listened to classical and would put it up to my belly and all of, the things that you should do like with your children's brains when they're young to listen to music. And it really does like the connections that were able to be made through music were just so valuable, just like I couldn't imagine. They're priceless without them. Like you said, there might not even be a piece of communication that we would have in our family. So that's lovely. I just love that, that is so true of things. So when you got into more junior high and high school, what did that look like? Did things start to get better, or how did that pan out?
Well, not really. I mean, junior high is a terrible time for everybody, but
Isn't that the truth?
for me, I kind of got sucked into this weird Christian cult school,
Hmm.
and I mean, it really was because it met all of the criteria of a cult. Like you couldn't speak against anybody. You had to act a certain way, talk a certain way, and it. I mean, the routine, I mean, you say, hey, that might be good for someone with autism, but for me, it wasn't because I rebelled
Hmm.
a lot. And it was getting to the point where it started out great in the beginning. It wasn't a cult in the beginning, but we got a new principal and he made it that way.
Hmm.
And he sort of did a lot of things to me that I'm not comfortable with. And when I was just being myself, he called my mom and said that I was Satan's daughter. You need to leave the school right now. So we did.
Oh my, thank goodness. Thank goodness you did. And my true feeling about rebellion in kids is that they know deep down that whatever situation are in is not safe for them. And that it's not even usually about like behaving badly or it's about not being listened to, not being in control of the situation that you're in, and someone taking advantage of it. And I truly believe that. I think that if we looked at that in a lot of ways for schools and punishment systems and things, we would really find that deep down there's just this level of communication that's not being met.
Yeah. And I mean, it was that time where I was experimenting with music and fashion. And Literally all I did was put pins on my uniform, and I love heavy metal music. I like listening to that. And I think it all comes from fear. If someone is threatened by something they don't
Yeah.
really understand, they're going to end up hating it.
Oh, that is so true. That is like worldwide, isn't it? Like if someone doesn't understand something, unfortunately, instead of acting with curiosity or compassion, they're going to act with aggression and defensiveness.
Yes, and I mean, look, there were so many people there that have come out, well, literally and figuratively. I mean, there, and I can't imagine how horrible it was for them. I hadn't come out of the closet yet. I didn't know, but there are so many of my friends that it was probably very horrible for them at that time. And they have told me, well, you had such courage. I can't believe that we said those things to you. And I loved that, but I can't imagine how horrible it was for them too. But right now, I'm glad I get to be authentically myself right now
Mhm.
and not really have to question
Yeah.
anything and be burdened by my past.
Yeah. I really try to tell, I have an 11-year-old on, on the spectrum. She has dyslexia and she's very socially aware. She's very mature, right? That mature word again. And I see how society just doesn't understand her. And I want her to realize that these years of getting through elementary and junior high, they're going to get better when she gets into your age and into her 20s. And she's going to find where friends and tribes align. And it's almost like I view it now as all of the peers and kids she's around, she's forced to be around. There's not another choice. You don't get to not go to that class or get to not, do these things, live next to these people or whatever it is. Like it's kind of just like you have to learn to deal with it and learn to um problem solve, conflict resolution, a lot of things. But I want her to know that ultimately she's going to be able to be in this space where she feels like she can just be herself.
Yeah, that's very, very important to know. And unfortunately, I had to think about that too. Like, am I ever going to be myself? But it's very important to know, like, in high school, it's not the end all be all.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and I'm so glad that she's going to understand that.
I hope so. I wish I could get her to listen to these podcasts, right? So she could, I think she'd gain a lot of wisdom from so many of the amazing female autistics that have been on the show and have been able to share their experiences. And I think she'd find so much likeness and resonate with them so much. So maybe when she's a little bit older, we can facilitate that more, or even just have her meet with some people and like share experiences. And so you gain so much wisdom and value from hearing other people's experiences, just like we are here today, and being able to share with the world this idea that yes, females have autism. It does look different than boys when, in obviously throughout our whole lives. And we need to start as a society and a community really understand how we can make things better as a whole to support everyone, rather than having to separate and divide and create all of this division between people. It's just not necessary.
Yeah, and another important thing to acknowledge is that the spectrum is not just boys and girls, and it's not just one black and white sexuality. There's so many things that
Yeah.
make our community colorful and amazing, but the media just portrays us as one thing.
Yeah.
And something I talk about a lot.
Yeah. It's really hard to help those in your community that only get that perspective, that have
Yeah.
that one perspective. And you come, me for my family, I come and I'm like, oh, well, here's a dad, a mom, a daughter, and a son. We're all autistic. We all look different. We all have so many our personalities, and everything about us couldn't be more polarized from one another. It's like, how do we really even get along? No, just joking. But I think it's so special, and it creates this like beautiful working machine that now that we all know, we can all, and like I said, some of us, like my son, maybe doesn't really have the understanding of how he can support us, but we can all understand how we can support him, and he knows how he fits in our family. And I think that is so special, and it's such a great example to what we can show to the world moving forward.
I love that. And I think it's a wonderful thing because a lot of people in our world think that autism still is like Rain Man or the Big Bang Theory, where it's a white autistic male who's really smart and good at math, but it's just so many other things.
Yeah.
And we can break those stereotypes.
Yeah, exactly. And we're doing it. We're doing it here today, right now, and you're doing it in so many big ways, so many big ways. So let's talk a little bit about, oh my gosh, where do we start? Um, well, let's start with things that have already happened, and then we'll talk about things that are going to be happening next.
Okay.
um, so, kind of tell us, out of high school, I mean, how was it going into college? Is the acceptance so much better now?
Well, I went to a lot of colleges, so I'll try to break it down.
Yeah.
The first one, I started out going to a community college because I wanted to save money. So I thought that was a smart idea. And the acceptance was great. I just thought it was a lot better, but high school was good too. And I thought it was a lot better than junior high because I immediately had to get out of there once I was kind of forced out.
Yeah.
So that sucked, but I never really went to a public school after that.
Hmm.
But once I got there, I mean, everyone was so accepting, and I
Mm.
wasn't expecting that at all. And the same happened in college. All of them, even Juilliard.
Oh,
So
I love that.
I think that a lot of parents of children and adults with autism have this thing where they think that public school is going to be very intimidating and that my kid's going to be made fun of. So that's why private school is going to be a good option, but it isn't. I feel like that the kids in private school are even more ruthless.
Mm.
It's very exclusionary.
Mm.
If you're different and you don't belong there, then it's going to not be for you. And that's probably the worst option ever.
Hmm.
At least
Yeah.
it was for me. But in public school, it was the best option
Mm.
because there were a lot of autistic kids there and nobody bothered them. They were accepted. Everyone was really nice to
That's
them.
great.
And that made me very happy.
Yeah, I love to hear that too. And I can only hope for the same with my kiddos, that someday, we'll find some really great schools and programs that will help assist and support them on their journey. So after let's see, what should we move on to next? Miss Florida. Let's do that. Let's talk about that. So, how did you get into pageantry?
Well, we'll start with the beginning. I started pageants at 5 years
Oh
old
my
because
gosh.
in Florida, that's one of the states where you do pageants as a child. And it was a way for me to make friends and socialize. And my mom wanted me to do that. But I wasn't, we weren't really fans of the big dresses and big hair and makeup. I sort of entered the pageants wearing a dress that we had from like Goodwill or something. And I just wore my hair normally and I didn't win anything, but I had fun. And
Yeah.
I kept doing this till fourth grade, but I wanted to focus on school. I cared about my studies even when I was a child. But then I continued in middle school because I liked being on stage, and now here I am.
Wow. And then what was it like to finally be up there and hear your name? What was it, just like chills and everything?
Yeah, I actually wasn't expecting to win because I must have tried this pageant at least 7 times and I
Wow.
didn't win. But I didn't care. I mean, I love the system, I love what it stands for.
Yeah.
And I just loved going back and meeting people, making new friends,
Yeah.
seeing old faces, and I just didn't care.
Huh. And what kind of events and stuff are you doing now?
Well, what I'm doing now, well, these events were fairly recent. I had a photo shoot for the pageant. I had a radio interview talking about upcoming events. I have my clothing line that was released.
What? I didn't even know that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I collaborated with an artist and designer, and they put my logo, the infinity symbol logo with the crown on it, and
Oh,
it's all over
great.
the dresses, shoes, and all that
Oh,
stuff.
Rachel, that's exciting. Congratulations. I didn't know that part.
It's on my Instagram. I've been debuting the clothes and what they look
Oh,
like.
gotta go on
And,
Instagram more. Note.
and I have a book coming out too. It's called Something Beautiful.
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh my gosh, that's gonna be wonderful. I was gonna say earlier, you said I should write a whole book. And I was like, yep, you need to. You need to write a book. So
There's a lot of books I want to write, but it's like I'm very busy. But
time.
this one I managed to collaborate with Archie Comics because it's a children's book.
Yes.
So I I collaborated with them. It's illustrated by Archie and
Wow.
it's about my autism journey.
Rachel, that's amazing. I love Archie comics when I was younger. I mean, that was like my favorite. That's interesting too. I'll have to come back to that in my mind later. My idea that I liked comics back then. That's funny. Yeah, wow, those are so exciting. And just recently, I had the amazing opportunity to also interview Roxana Lewis, who is, oh my gosh, what a
Oh
human!
yeah.
What a
Yeah,
human! She's just beautiful. How
yeah.
was working on Mandy's voice, and what was that opportunity and experience like?
Oh yeah. I was in Mandy's voice and you should see that coming up soon this year.
Yay.
But
Oh,
what was it like? very interesting. A lot of stuff happened on set, but the beginning of it was something that provoked my activism very much.
Mm.
They I guess they must have found me on Instagram and asked me to do the role of Mandy, who's a non speaking autistic girl. And I said, well, I think that we should cast an actual non speaking actress. And so they tried to, but nobody, well, they did find a few, but no, there's a lot of sensory issues that the
Mm.
actors had, and we have to be mindful of that. But this is something I really believe as an actress and someone who's neurodiverse. I think that we should give opportunities to people who don't get them. But
Mhm.
it wasn't working. So I took the role, and I was non speaking for 5 years of my life. So I went back to that little girl in me,
Yeah,
and it turned out to be really authentic.
I love
We
that.
showed it to a lot of moms and families of non speaking people, and they said my performance was really, really good.
Mm.
And I loved it. I loved being on set,
Mm.
and it was
Wow.
just an amazing experience.
Oh, I can't wait to see it. And, it's been so great. I've, been able to connect with you and Amy and Roxana now. And it's like the whole picture, though. I can't wait to see the whole thing and put all my friends' faces together. It's going to be incredible. What do you have coming up in your life next?
Oh, wow. Well, a lot of events for Miss Florida for America. I know I'm going to have to fly back home to Florida, and we have a fun little pageant called Miss Rodeo River Ranch or
Oh.
Rodeo. I don't know. It's like a little. I don't. They're kind of like iffy on the title. They don't know if it's going to be a rodeo or something like a river ranch. I don't know, but I do know there's going to be horses,
Mm.
and I rode horses for the better part of my life, and I hope I get to ride a horse.
Yeah. Oh, I hope so too. I love horseback riding. And it's great for kids. It's great for kids with autism. It really uh, to see the excitement and like confidence my son had when he was on a horse is something that it's like the mother's, dream to see her child in that moment where they're just so happy in themselves and authentic, and I love that.
But it should be rodeo. Like I was talking to the people running it, and I'm like, why are they pronouncing it rodeo like Rodeo Drive? I mean, like, are we dressing up like? Are we gonna be hot? I don't know.
Yeah, right? Oh my gosh. Well, it's been so much fun to talk to you and get to know you better. I'd love to just jump on and chat with you in the future just to do it. We don't have to record anything, just to chat
I'd
and have
love
girl
to.
time.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and we have the 1 in 36 coming up this year. Oh my gosh, I'm
Yes,
so
I said I
excited.
want to be a part of that.
Yep.
You know.
We're definitely going to do that. So it's going to be fantastic. It has been so fun to chat with you today. Let people know your Instagram, Facebook, and places they can find you.
Yes, my Instagram is Rachel Barcelona XO. Facebook, you can find me at Rachel Barcelona Ability Beyond Disabilities. I'm also on Twitter, Barcelona R, if anyone still uses Twitter, but I do, and it's really fun.
Oh, I need to use it more often and get on Instagram a little bit more often. I'm like a Facebook. It's the oldness, right? It's because I'm a mom.
Yeah.
That's where all the moms live, on Facebook. Too funny. Rachel, thank you so much. And it's just you're such a bright, shining light for the world to learn so much from and gain so much value in watching you. And thank you for letting us be a part of your journey.
Oh, no problem. I love it. And I love meeting so many new people along the way.
Yeah, it is so much fun to do that. It's connections are my favorite things, I think, and through Zoom, we can do this globally and it's incredible the connections we can make with people. So, thank you so much and we will definitely be in touch.
Yay, thank you.